The Cigar Nerds Podcast.
And welcome to Cigar Nerds Podcast. I'm your host, Smokin' Joe, and we still don't know where Brad is. I know he made it into the country, but he had to cancel on us yet again, and
he was kidnapped by pygmies in Indonesia.
Probably. So by that voice, you can tell the Ginger Avenger is back for another episode.
I'm having trouble lighting this thing.
So, and if you're watching that video, I'm smoking too. I finally, I think it's technically a couple days early than what was supposed to be allowed, but I said, fuck it. I'm
technically a couple of days, technically a week or two.
No, only about 3 or 4 days.
If you say. If you say so.
So this week, and get your phone away from the mic. We are smoking the Kristoff PCA 2022 Signature Series. Sports a Connecticut broadleaf Maduro wrapper, Dominican Republic binders, and fillers from Nicaragua and the Dominican Republic.
This is a very interesting shape. I don't think I've ever... I don't know, it's kind of weird.
Yes.
Kind of different to me.
Referring to it is a box-pressed Figueroa, so it's kind of narrow at the tip and the...
Kind of looks like a submarine.
Yeah, so it's like I said, narrow at the tip and also narrow at the foot, but, you know, and then kind of fatter in the middle, but then all box pressed. So, yeah, it's kind of an interesting
almost
vitola.
Like a cube. It's kind of weird.
That's what box press means.
Well, it's okay, fine.
They're putting a press and
shut up.
Press into a box.
Look here, pal. Don't start with me.
So, yeah, this is a PCA cigar, so only retailers that actually attended the PCA show were allowed to order these. So they, you know, it's kind of a limited release. They made like 750 boxes of 20. So if you can find them, pick some up. Yeah, it's like I said, it's a strange shape, but
already way better than the last one.
Yeah, this one, well, like I wasn't smoking at all last time, but yeah, this one definitely has a little more flavor up front. It's not it's that Connecticut Maduro too, so it's a little sweeter, but also kind of stronger than
Yeah, this is not bad, even for, you know, not being flavored cigar, which is what I prefer, but this is not bad. I kind of like this. I can deal with this. Of course, it would be a limited release that, you know, they're not going to have any more of. That would just make sense because I like it.
I mean, they still had a couple boxes at the shop, so you know,
pick up a couple.
It'll be available for a little while at least. So this week we're going to be talking about, and this is the third topic picked for this week because like me and Brad were going to do a topic and then he had to cancel, so I found a backup plan, but he hadn't seen the thing we were going to talk about. So all right, we'll do this episode, and then he got sick. So we just finished watching Wednesday on Netflix a couple nights ago. I'm like, all right, you're sitting in again because this is the only thing that. So yeah, we've changed the topic about 3 times, but yeah, we're talking about the hit new Netflix. But I think it set like records for
top
opening
10
weeks
in
of
88
Netflix.
Countries, from what I understand, or what I saw was top 10 in 88 countries.
Yep. So we are going to talk about Wednesday, also from acclaimed director Tim Burton. And if you're going to have to fight off monsters in the woods, you should call in the Strike Force. StrikeForceEnergy.com. Use your promo code Cigar Nerds for
spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't seen it already.
20% off this order. Don't give spoiler alerts during the product placement. We'll do that during the main segment. But yeah, it comes in a tiny little tin pouch. Get your liquid caffeine, especially for someone like me who's not allowed to drink carbonated drinks anymore. You can mix it in any liquid, and you just water or whatever. Hell, throw some in your whiskey if you want to go all the way up. And
didn't you try that once, and then I don't think you remembered the rest of the night after that? I think you did try that once.
I don't remember.
That's
how
exactly
good
it
was.
But I do.
There's nothing like being drunk and also really caffeinated so you can't pass out.
Leads to an interesting night, I'll tell you that.
But with that, we'll be right back. And welcome back. It's time to Netflix and chill and talk about Wednesday.
On camera, dear? I don't think so. That costs more.
Go to the Cigar
OnlyFans
Nerd /
page.
OnlyFans for exclusive content.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, if I made an OnlyFans, people just pay me to put my clothes back on.
Whatever.
So, and this show's coming out on a Wednesday, so what a better topic than Wednesday, aka Addams Family 3.0, because
Part 2.
hell, it might be 4.0, because we've had a couple animated movies now. We've had the OG Raul, what's it, Raul?
Raul Julia.
Yeah, Raul Julia. I want to say Gulia for some reason. Julia Gulia. Shout out to The Wedding Singer.
Wrong movie. Totally wrong movie. Wrong movie, wrong context. We're on the wrong page. Oh, hell.
It's connected. They were both Adams at one time or another. So, yeah, they call it a coming-of-age supernatural comedy horror television show. That's a lot of...
Those are a lot of categories to get in there.
Descriptors.
Basically means is what there's a lot of us, middle-aged goths is what that... Especially in all 88 countries, I guess, apparently. So.
Ah, yes. The goths.
Yes.
They're not dead. They're just...
We're not dead. We're just middle-aged and need lots of Tylenol.
We just look like they're dead.
Ah! How dare you?
That's what they said about Wednesday. Like,
oh, yeah.
It's like, you're awfully pale. It's like, oh, our Wednesday always looks half dead. And, like I said, this show's only came out last week, so if you're not one of those 88... countries or in that top 10 of people watching it, spoiler alert from here on in, because we are going to go deep into Wednesday.
Are we now? That's also on the OnlyFans page, not here. It's not that con, remember that.
It's always that con.
Is it?
So yes, from director producer Tim Burton.
Who else? Doesn't even matter. As long as it's Tim Burton, it's fine.
Yeah, it's one of those that I didn't know. I mean, he's...
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
He's, I didn't, like, so when I heard this thing was coming out, I didn't really know it was from Tim Burton until you see it, in the credits of the radio. Like, oh, duh. Like, no, like, look at this and like, oh yeah, this is... Yeah, there's no Johnny Depp in it. I'm still not eating a lot of meat.
Have you been drinking today? What's going on?
Not enough. I still gotta wait another 2 weeks.
Jesus, man, get it together.
But yeah, he's one of the producers, directed several of the episodes, and it's like, it's obvious. Other than there being no Depp and no what's the other lady that's in it every freaking Tim Burton movie?
Oh my God.
Helena Bonham Carter,
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure she'll be in the next season or something, maybe. Hopefully.
Yeah, and this stars Jenna Ortega as Wednesday, and a different kind of version than we've ever seen, because kind of nobody ages in the Addams Family stories. Every kind of iteration we've seen, it's all been like a child.
Preteen, yeah.
Where
young...
this follows the adventures of a 16-year-old, Wednesday.
15 turning 16, yeah. Having to find a new education environment because things,
Doesn't fit in normie high school because she's developing psychic powers, and her brother's getting picked on by the
swim team, I think it was, because they were in the pool.
Which is interesting. It's like, normally it's the
football players.
Yeah, the football players are the stereotypical bullies, but no,
flashbacks.
Well, then again, maybe it's because it's like
high school.
It's they're rich, so you're assuming they're going to a nicer high school. So it's like, oh no, the jocks are the swim team or the polo team, because those are the fancier people.
Yeah.
So she does what any future serial killer does: piranhas in the swimming pool, which.
I can mess with my siblings all I want. You touch my siblings and I'll destroy you. That's normal. I mean, normal big sister behavior.
Which he did try to not, rat on anybody, but when your sister's a psychic, all she gotta do is touch you and gets the vision of, I know who exactly
stuffing you in the locker
and
apple in your mouth, kind of like. I'm pretty sure that went back to one of the
roast pig.
The second movies where he was asleep on a platter after the
Well, in the old Christina Ricci version, there's the one part where she was trying to like William tell him, but instead of shooting the apple off his head, it was in his mouth.
Well, yeah, but they had where the party they had for Fester, the mamushka and all that stuff. Pugsley fell asleep on a platter like a suckling pig.
I've not watched those in a while. I did not did not recall that part. I just remember the part where she's got the crossbow.
Mm. Okay, yeah.
But yes, yeah, we've got our new Wednesday, which I gotta say before we get into kind of specifics, it's like I was aware of Jenna Ortega from I believe we did a show on another Netflix horror movie, The Babysitter, I think Killer Bee, which was the second one, and she was kind of one of the co-leads, love interests of the main character in that one. But
I've heard the name. I was thinking it was from a Disney Channel show that
I
kids
think
watched or something.
When she was younger, she was one of those Disney kids. But then she was also in the either she's in the upcoming Scream movie, but I think she was actually in the Scream TV show as well, which I didn't watch any of that.
I don't know anything about that because I didn't see that.
Yeah, neither did I. But she's a hell of an actress in this.
Oh yeah.
Just being able to, like, I think you said, like, I don't know how many bottles of eye drops she went to for not blinking.
Oh yeah, it's kind of freaky actually to watch it because she doesn't blink. There is no movement. Eyes don't track. It's just creepy. They look like, let's see, like doll's eyes to be exact. You know, kind of. You know.
You ever seen a shark's eyes? Doll eyes.
Yes.
It's lifeless.
Yep.
But even though she plays it very, like, non-reactionary, like,
complete deadpan. There is,
but so much when you're not using your face or your voice to portray emotion and not just be like a robot, that's like takes some skill. Because I mean,
there is a lot more emotional depth that you get from her than you would expect to because it doesn't look like it. But it's weird because it does come off very deadpan, very flat.
Very Wednesday Addams.
Yep.
But yeah, it's like, but you can see like the passion in her acting, even though there's like, she's very much like, I mean, well, she shows a little emotion when she gets pissed off and is like, walking in there like some old detective movie and fucking grilling people and shit.
Well, yeah, there's a little bit of.
But yeah, it's kind of impressive to be able to like show emotion without physically showing any emotion. It takes, I think, a lot more skill as an actor to pull that off. I hope we get
It's a very different look from Christina Ricci's Wednesday, but it's still very iconic and recognizable as being This Is Wednesday Addams. It's strange.
It's pigtail goth chick, but instead of
yeah. What about it?
Well, I'm saying she's instead of it being a much younger Christina Ricci. I don't know how old when she played Wednesday in the other movies, but the character was elementary school aged at best, and now it's a
teenager,
being played by a 20-something, and for everyone who has the goth fantasies, then just go either way.
Yep.
And see, when I don't say anything, that's when you're supposed to like jump in the conversation and
I'm just trying to see where you're going with this, dear. I'm tired. I'm just trying to I'm trying to keep up with the same page here.
But don't stop and watch. Like, contribute when there's a pause in the conversation, dear.
Sure. No problem.
And speaking of actors, and displaying emotion without voice or physical stuff.
Oh,
the dude
okay.
playing fucking Thing is amazing.
No, I admitted I didn't think that was an actual actor playing it. I thought it was complete CGI because that's what it looks like when you first see him. But then you go through it and there's somebody actually doing it, and it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, there is some real interesting like behind the scenes photos they've released now of the guy playing Thing, like basically like in a full like
green screen outfit and
yeah, just acting with his hand. And
I think Thing's had a rough life. I mean, the original movies, he wasn't quite so stitched up and put back together. It looks like he's had a couple of rough years.
Hold on, let me find him, because for some reason in the notes I have, they didn't list his name, but I want to give this guy full props, because yeah, I mean the emotion and
from a hand, it's
like the conversation, you're like, holy shit, this dude is badass, but he's a fucking just a hand. And like the amount of, like said, like emotion, and hell, just having conversations, people doing like super fast whatever sign language. And I don't speak sign language, but I had like no problem understanding like what the fuck
the point got across in either way. I
Thing
mean,
was
trying to say or trying to point out. Has its own personality, which is pretty hard to do for something without a face.
or a finger. It just when he would get pissed off and give people the finger, it was hilarious. That was the best part. Victor Dorobantu?
What?
It's Dorobantu. I'm assuming that's Dorobantu. But he's a Romanian magician and actor. So
well, that probably explains it.
Guy's got experience with
using
sleight
his
of
hands
hand.
and to. I guess you got to be able to pull off some pretty impressive
dexterity.
Yeah, dexterity and moves and stuff if you're trying to keep people from seeing what you're doing on this side, and trying to distract people, and something you practice. It's a skill.
Oh, but yeah, it's like the stuff they did with him was, like you said, it assumed it was like CGI, but it's like, no, like you go look up, there was a bunch of those whatever behind the scenes photos floating around.
The green screen photos are
Facebook,
pretty interesting.
Alaska. They're just like, I mean, there's somewhere it's like, I mean, he's like, it was like they're like one scene where he's like literally like under the desk with his arm through a hole in the desk, like all like cramped, because Wednesday's sitting at the desk and this dude's just all like curled up underneath the desk with his hand through a
which doesn't even seem like it should be possible, because I mean it's like bent down at an angle that doesn't look like you should be able to do that. But then I guess, like you said, magician or professional magician, or
some one where he's like, the hand is just running across the floor, and there's like pictures of him like on a cart, and they're just like wheeling him through, and his like hands off the side of the cart doing the thing.
Yep.
I was like, I mean, yeah, in this day and age, you'd think that'd be so much easier to pull off with CGI, but well, I mean, it's still CGI because they got to erase his whole body.
Well, yeah,
but yeah, I just don't think you'd get the.
You'd have to be pretty impressive at what you're showing up. Like when you show up for a casting for that, I'm casting a hand, and you show up, and you gotta kind of wow the directors and stuff pretty well to manage to get a part like that. Yeah. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just rambling on.
But then again, when you're dealing with CGI, there's not a whole lot of room for improvisation and what, because that takes a long time to do animation, so you're kind of like set in that, whereas having a live actor on scene allows them to
change it up,
and adapt stuff kind of on the fly if they decide something.
But Tim Burton's pretty big on allowing improv. Like you said, he usually works with Johnny Depp and Helen Bonham Carter, and half of their stuff is always made up on the spot. And
yeah, it's a whole lot easier when you're not dealing with an animated character. So this, as we said, Wednesday gets kicked out of Normie school for attempted murder, and she's kind of depressed about that because she's like, if anybody finds out, they're just going to realize
I failed at my mission. I mean, that's it wasn't a win. We can't have that.
That's I got a reputation to uphold of
releasing piranha in a school pool is pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty awesome.
I mean, he only lost one nut.
Well, yeah,
he's got.
You don't need but one. It's fine. Maybe it'll still work. Maybe.
Less to scratch. You only got to worry about itching one nut. I'm just trying to go for the benefits for the guy, you know?
Oh my God. Okay.
I'm just trying to give the guy some positives.
I have nothing to weigh in on that subject. I don't have them. I don't even know what to say to that. I just don't. My whole buffering. It's like, what? Only one to scratch. Huh? Well, I guess that's always a bonus.
I mean, you gotta look at the positive in things. So she gets sent to Jericho, Vermont, to the Nevermore Academy, which you would think that would have been like the first choice of schools for someone like her, but she's a teenage rebel and is like, I don't want to be. My parents just want to turn me into a version of them, and this is where they both went to high
That's
school.
where they met, of course.
And you know they were in all the clubs and were like the big.
Well, Morticia was. I don't know about Gomez, but Morticia was head of the fencing team and head of the secret society or something.
Gomez was both. They were both in the Nightshades.
Oh yeah, that's it.
And of course, Gomez is. We've seen his sword fighting for the years, so I'm assuming he was also
probably
a fencer as well. But yeah, it's like she's like, I don't want to compete with their legends, so she's kind of fought off attending Nevermore for. And speaking of which, we got the rest of the Addams Family, where this show mainly follows Wednesday's adventures. We do get the rest of the family in a couple episodes, and we have
Luis Guzman
as Gomez, and Catherine Zeta-Jones as Morticia Addams. Which, damn.
On the whole, I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, obviously, I'm a diehard Angelica Houston fan, but. Yeah, damn.
Goffed up
damn.
Catherine Zeta-Jones. And just a round of applause to her. At a woman in her mid-50s, she is still a freaking smoke show.
That is true. I'll give you that.
I mean, she hasn't aged much since fucking Zorro.
Yeah. God knows, I don't even remember when that was, but there was a lot of controversy about this. There was a lot of controversy when it was first announced because everyone's saying, can't have Luis Guzman because he's not Raul Julia. He's not the conventional attractive Gomez that we're looking for. I don't even know. I, of course, found Raul Julia attractive, but that was just me. That's my goth fantasies playing out. But if you go back to the original Addams Family cartoon from way back when,
or like it was originally a comic book before
yeah.
even but yeah,
or a comic strip, yeah.
He like the original drawing of Gomez. He's like a kind of a short, fatter dude,
short, heavier guy with yeah. So it does kind of work.
And Luis Guzman, I mean, I like him in anything he is. He's
a good actor. He's funny.
Oh, and just because I mean from years and years of history, we know that Morticia and Gomez can't keep their hands off each other, and just their relationship when we see them, I'm like, they do a great job of playing that
goals. It's goals.
That's
what you're talking about. Those are goals.
But so much point where like as they're taking they're singing to each other, and like Wednesday is just utterly disgusted because she's stuck in the limo with what is like, please kill me now.
Must I watch you two molest each other every time we get in the car, anywhere actually for that matter? But
I'm surprised there wasn't one of those the old scene like, did you just say something in French?
That's actually, that was my next point. Did you notice the lack of French? There was no French. I don't know if it was something that Luis Guzman didn't want to do it, but oh Tish, that's French. It was missing, and it hurt my feelings. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, this was a more Hispanic Addams Family, I guess. Which I don't know if they've ever
actually gone into
what their actual kind of origins
Addams
are.
is kind of a
it's like a John Smith.
Yeah.
It can be from anywhere.
You could be anywhere. Joe anybody,
But yeah, of course they drop her off at the new school and leave. He's like, don't worry, my love, she won't be by herself, and has Thing hanging out in a secret compartment, and like we're gonna use him to like watch out for her. But of course Wednesday is the smartest person in the room and immediately catches him.
Oh yeah.
She's like, all right, I can break your fingers, or you can swear your undying loyalty to me and serve me. And he's like, all right, fine.
She gets the first week unbothered. They said, give her a week to settle in, and then we're only a crystal ball away.
Because, of course, she doesn't use cell phones.
No, we don't use cell phones.
But then it's always a great, just kind of odd couple story. Of course, the room she gets assigned to is, her roommate is the polar opposite of where she's a very serious person. I'm allergic to color. This girl is basically a TikTok person.
Basically a blogger and covered in every rainbow color under the sun and pink and
super happy.
Perky, little, chipper. Just want to choke them out.
A werewolf that hasn't wolfed out yet. Yeah. So far, all she can do is her claws get bigger when she...
I hate to say the combination doesn't work, but it does, because I have one of those... My bestie's the same way. She's just perky and happy, and it's just I want to choke you out, you chipper little thing, but it works. I don't know.
Yeah, I used to do that to all the emo kids in school. I would be super nice to the emo ones because it was funny, because they didn't know how to react, because they're used to getting bullied and whatnot, and they all want to be like, I'm evil and sad and nothing, and I'd be like, hi buddy, how's it going?
We were not emo in school.
I didn't say you. I said the emo kids specifically, not the goth kids.
Emo came after the goth kids. It wasn't the same time period. These were two...
Whatever. These were people that wanted to be all dark and brooding, and I would be super nice to them because it annoyed the piss out of them.
Well, I bet that did. I bet it did, because...
Hey buddy, how's it going? You having a good day?
How did you survive long enough to become my husband? I don't understand.
Because I was 6'2" and I have a black belt.
True. Good point.
I've always had a mouth on me, so I had to learn to fight at an early age.
True.
Because I'm not going to say smart ass shit. It's just, in my nature.
That is true. Yeah, the goth thing went a whole other direction for you, didn't it?
Are ninjas goth? They like to wear all black.
No, ninjas are not goth. That's not how that works. You're wrong.
So what have you thought of this thing? So far, I mean, we're 20 minutes in, and we've not really got into any of the story details. But...
I don't know, running our mouths. I liked it a lot more than I expected to, because yes, I am old school with Addams Family, and yes, Raul Julia, Angelica Houston, Christina Ricci. I liked it more than I thought I was going to. Although I will admit, Wednesday does come off a little... She's kind of a bitch. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of a bitch, but she's kind of a bitch. Initially.
Well, she's very... almost has a personality disorder, where that whole, I say what I think regardless, it's just sometimes, a more kind of socially adept person would soften up some of the things she says, where she just says what she thinks, and it
I feel like I'm being personally called out here, because that's kind of how I live my life, and it's kind of a problem, but it's kind of the same thing, but I get it.
But it's also, what I think very interesting is they turn this into, a murder mystery. It's horror. There's some horrific stuff in it, but it's more of a
there's a little bit of a Scooby-Doo thing too. It's kind of...
I mean, Eden, the roommate, since she is a werewolf, is she both the sidekick and Scooby at the same time?
Kind of.
I mean, her boyfriend...
Thing is kind of Scooby. Scooby-Doo Thing is Scooby. Or maybe Scrappy, because he's small. But...
Nah, freaking... Thing's more... he's like Thelma. He's the smarter one.
Yeah.
And also, throughout the series, is the one trying to help Wednesday with social interactions. She just no, I have found this thing. There's a murder afoot. Someone tried to kill me, and now someone's killing other students, and I am solely focused on the mystery ahead of me, where he's slipping notes to dudes, trying to
trying to get her on a date, and
yeah, Oh yeah, while he's breaking into medical examiners' offices and whatnot.
Well, he did 5-finger a dress too for the school dance. So I'm just saying,
Which, how hard is that? Because he doesn't have a pocket to stick it in. How'd he steal a whole dress?
Shoved it in a bag and carry. Well, it can't carry the bag. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
Obviously, they didn't show that part, but it's kind of impressive.
Gotta love the dress though. The dress was awesome.
And then we have kind of her antagonist partially through the series of the new school principal, Larissa Weems, played by Gwendolyn Christie, who is the principal and former roommate of Morticia.
And just a tiny bit resentful towards Morticia. Just a tiny bit, there's a little passive aggressive there that did something.
I would figure they would kind of bond on that because Wednesday's solidly in the I hate my mother age of teenagedom.
I want nothing to do with my mother. I hate her guts. It's her fault. Everything is her fault.
But... Even though I know she also has visions, I'm not going to ask her about the visions.
Because,
And then there's the whole, secondary... all right, so mystery number 1, a student tries to kill her. And because his mother was a psychic, and apparently she drew this drawing of... the school being destroyed by a pilgrim. The school would be destroyed by a
pilgrim coming at a girl that looked like Wednesday. And...
So he was convinced that he had to, because he was getting a little unhinged, had to kill her to prevent this apocalypse. But then a giant, kind of troll-looking dude shows up and murks him.
Eyes. That's why I'm saying that's the Scooby-Doo part. Because the monster did look like a Scooby-Doo villain. Looked like a cartoon villain. You got ginormous eyes that are about to pop out of his head.
But of course, nobody sees this except for Wednesday, and no one will believe her. To the point of, to kind of protect the school, we find out later on that the principal is a shapeshifter. So she shows back up and hi, I'm not dead. I was just being a dick. And
she shows back up as the student that tried to kill him.
And then, supposedly gets expelled so it can kind of get rid of him.
Wrap things up in a night package, got the town sheriff in on it just so we can
move along. But of course Wednesday is convinced that there is a monster, and for a long time I thought it was the principal. I was because we find she tracks, it shows up at one point and she follows the footsteps and sees them return to human footsteps, but then of course it rains and washes away the evidence yet again. Mm-hmm. But I was oh fuck, we know the principal's a shapeshifter.
Of course, the principal's got to be doing it, but then that doesn't track because the principal's only invested in trying to protect the school. Because
we find out the whole thing. She's no, I'm just trying to
school full of outcasts. She's trying to keep the school from being
alive. But if her and it's kind of if she had been honest with Wednesday, and then Wednesday also been honest with her about what she was trying to do, maybe they could have worked together, but they were both kind of trying to save the school from opposite ends and getting in each other's way.
Isn't that how it always works, though? It's if we had been honest with each other and had a conversation minus, 65 minutes of movie. It's just how it works. One conversation would have solved the whole thing, and we would have run for 15 minutes.
And then you also have her friend who is a student, Xavier Thorpe, who is basically can make artwork come to life, and he's kind of shady as well. It's there's
he's
so many
moody. He's not shady. He's the love interest. He's moody. That's what it is. It's moody and withdrawn. That's why you're interested.
He has a secret art studio where he has pictures of the monster that he's I've been having nightmares, and I'm drawing my nightmares.
This is what I'm seeing in my nightmares, and
I was very much well, he could have draw this thing and bring it to life to attack people, but there's so many they did a good job of it being. I think
there's a lot of possibilities of who the bad guy could be, or
I think I finally called it maybe an episode before the end, but through the whole thing it's there's a lot of fucking suspects, and it's they did a good job of making everybody look just a little bit shady. So you're I don't know, it could be this dude or it could be that dude, and or this lady or that lady.
You're looking for bad motives. Speaking of suspects, we haven't even gotten to that point. Christina Ricci's, of course, in this.
Yes, playing the
phlebotomy teacher, is that what it is?
Well, she's the science teacher, but she's an expert on plants and shit.
Carnivorous plant specialty, or
But yeah, we've got Marilyn Thornhill is her botany teacher
Botany,
at
not
Nevermore Academy.
phlebotomy. Phlebotomy is like
Botany
blood
is people,
draw.
yeah, people
Oh
deal
my
with
god, I'm tired.
bodily fluids.
Yeah, that's.
But she did kind of deal with bodily fluids in the end.
Yeah, kind of. Well, that's neither here nor there.
But from the beginning, I was like, when you start seeing like the creature attacks, they're like, we can't find a foot, we can't find a liver. There's like no pattern. I'm like, oh no, that's how the prophecy. Like somebody's building a fucking Frankenstein.
Yeah. They're stealing body parts, and some people do that for trophies, and they're stealing body parts from each victim.
But even a serial killer is like, they typically have a pattern where it's like, all right, I'm taking a liver, like, but this person is taking something different from like every single body. So it's like, I was like, oh no, this is how they're going to bring the
fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Kind of in the whatchamacallit, the Salem witch trials type time frame. Like some of the original setters was a pilgrim that basically killed a bunch of Joseph Crackstone, who was like the founder of Jericho, killed a bunch of special people and
outsiders. It's the normies versus the outsiders.
Yeah, or the outcasts.
Outcasts, yeah, the people without powers or that are not. He
locked a bunch of them in the original town meeting house and set it on fire. Where the only person who escaped was Wednesday's relative, Goody Adams, a very powerful witch apparently, who eventually brought him down. But the prophecy is he's going to come back and destroy the school.
Yeah, so he can destroy the outsiders totally, which of course is a little. Or the outcast totally, which is a little screwed up considering, he's supposed to be normal, but we're going to come back from the dead. I mean, that's not normal, but...
Well, it's magic. With a kick. And a cool staff that you can zap people with.
Yeah,
apparently.
well.
And then we have the other side mystery of the local town sheriff hates Gomez because he's convinced Gomez is a murderer that got away with it when he was a student. And... suddenly the medical conveniently during parents weekend when they come to visit, the medical examiner kills himself and confesses to changing the evidence. So suddenly Gomez is arrested, and Wednesday's just kind of got parts of the story. So she's like, I've got to investigate this 30-year-old murder
crime and get my father off the hook.
And then we get kind of like the second part of the story is that there was a family that also hated, that were basically descendants of
Joseph Crackstone.
Yeah, and
the pilgrim sycophant that decided to kill everybody.
The guy that supposedly Gomez killed had went in there and was basically stalking Morticia. And he had planned to, because they have like a big, almost like their prom, they call it like the Raven Dance, and was going to poison the entire student body by spiking the punch with nightshade poisoning. Mm-hmm. But he just decided to fight Gomez. He ended up breaking the bottle and poisoning himself.
Yeah.
So technically he was already dead and batshit crazy when Morticia is the one that actually stabbed him. And of course, Gomez tried to take the blame to save his love.
I think we have kind of fucked this all the way up. We have gotten so far out of order and roundabout, but it's okay.
Well, we only have an hour, so we got to kind of skip around, hit the highlights. Yeah. If you want to get this whole story, go to Netflix, watch that shit on your own. But yeah, so you got that whole kind of episode or two where they're, deciphering this mystery, and of course, supposedly, him dying, the mother the father also said he killed himself or something, or the mother killed himself and he drank himself to death. Yeah. And supposedly the sister
and then she
went to Europe and ended up drowning
overseas or something.
Yeah. But spoiler alert, on top of that, she didn't die.
No.
Because eventually we find out because of course, the Adams experts on the weird people, she's like, I can't identify this monster. And they eventually figured out it was, we get a episode with good old Uncle Fester.
Oh, yes.
Brilliant cat, like
that
Fred
was good.
Armiston.
That was really good, and I was impressed by it.
As Fester was amazing.
He did a good job.
Does not even look like Fred Armiston. I was like, until he started talking, I was like, holy shit, that's Fred Armiston. And he played Fester like a criminal. He's like a freaking just like
Yeah.
you know, and he comes from this rich ass family, but he's like, nah, I like robbing banks. It's fun. Makes life interesting, right?
Yeah.
From the law.
You know.
With my freaking whatever Dalmatian motorcycle that I
with a sidecar. And you know helmets with the dog's ears.
and gets in a fight with when she's like at the funeral because somebody murders the mayor, and she sees somebody in a dark kind of lurking watching the funeral and goes to confront them and pulls out a badass umbrella sword.
Yep.
And dude just catches it and kind of shocks it out of her hand. He's like, you're doing good, my old protege, and like takes off his hat. It's like the only time you see her smile. It's like, oh, Uncle Fester. It's like,
well, everybody got a favorite family member, you know.
but yeah, he tells her about oh yeah, like I should have visited your father, and he left me in this library because he was busy getting it on, and I got bored and I broke into a safe and I found this book that's all about monsters. So, they go to find the book, and she finds out it's a hide, and a hide, like, Dr. Jekyll, Mr.
Hyde, yeah, basically.
Or Moon Knight, multiple personality.
Yeah.
But the person who unlocks the hide kind of has control of it. So like, all right, now we've got two monsters to deal with, not just the one.
You got one monster and the brains behind the monster. And, of course, the whole town could be the brains behind the monster, because then you've got not only the principal and you've got the sheriff who blames all the Nevermore students for everything because he's a normie and doesn't like, other types of people. And then you've got her therapist who,
collects
taxidermy and makes taxidermy creatures doing odd little
and
things,
also
which is kind of cool, but I kind of like it. But that's
the shady artist kid is having secret meetings with her.
Yep.
And everything points to.
And then you've got the sheriff's son, who's also the local barista boy, the local Starbucks guy, I guess.
Yeah, as soon as like you see those two together, and she goes and confronts the psychiatrist, thinking it's got to be her. And she's like, I don't know what, I'm calling your parole officer or your probation officer and telling him you're a fucking psycho. You need to go to
Because, of course, this is court-ordered, court-mandated therapy that she has to attend now that she's,
But as soon as she leaves, Monster comes in and kills her. And she's like, well, it's still got to be him. He's just finally, like, rose up against his master. Mm-hmm. And then goes and to his
little art studio in the woods,
and he finds trophies from all the kills, and he's like, no, they set me up, I didn't do this. And that was like, oh, it's not him, because we got 3 episodes to go, and it's too fucking easy. This is all a red
2
herring.
episodes to go, I think.
I was like, it's gotta be at that point I'm like, it's gotta be the fucking boyfriend,
the normie kid that's the sheriff's son, that of course couldn't have anything possible to do with this because he's a good normie town kid, runs a cafe.
Yeah, he's like too suspect. And like earlier they go to investigate the house of that family that supposedly everyone, because that's the last place the mayor was before he was going to meet with the sheriff because at this point
somebody's seeing lights on at the house that should.
Well, the sheriff at this point, since she has turned in, or no, this is before that, but he starts to kind of realize, Wednesday's on to something, and the mayor's coming to tell the sheriff he's figured out who's behind all this, and then gets run over by a car. So when they go out to that house, they find the car, and they also find that the girl's bedroom that's supposedly been dead in the building, like all her shit is completely clean and nice. And then
flowers on the bedside table,
and then they find all the
beds made and
trophy body parts in the basement. But then the weird troll hide thing shows up and ends up clawing homeboy. But I'm like, anyone else who came up against the monster fucking died. Like,
well,
he
except
just
her little beekeeper buddy, he didn't die. He just got put in a coma.
He got put in a coma. But where this dude just like a single scratch on his chest, which kind of the angle of it too.
Kind of does look like.
Looks like
you Wolverine yourself.
Like just the angle of it. I'm like, that looks a little self-inflicted to me. And but then of course homeboy that they originally suspect shows up. He had a bad habit of showing up right after the monster. Tapping out.
Thinking about it. It's not sitting real well for some reason. I'm gonna give it a minute.
Sometimes you gotta let him rest.
Yeah, it's kind of sitting a little strange there. Just gonna let that sit for a minute.
And as she's yeah, and I like that line because the principal's like, you have to be in a extracurricular activity. We like to have our students well-rounded. And she's like, I like to keep my edges sharp. And she's like, sends her off to all the clubs, and she finally finds the beekeeper club, which there's only one guy in it. And she's like, cool, I can hang out here and no one will fuck with me because I can use, if I decide to slip off and on my investigation, you just like tell people I was here raising bees with you.
Yeah, because he's got, not a very dominant personality. He's kind of a dork, and he's kind of, just kind of excited somebody's there hanging out with him, and it's a girl, so that kind of helps.
But they're supposed to go on a stakeout to where they think the monster's hide is. And
the hide's hide? Is that what you just said?
I did.
The hide's hide? Are you proud of yourself for that?
I am
You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be.
Woe is me.
Oh, God, yes. There we go.
Yeah, every episode has woe in the title.
There's woe in the title for every episode for some reason, and it's a little strange. And
well, she said that the first episode that, Wednesday's named after her favorite nursery rhyme. Wednesday's child is full of woe.
Yeah.
So then every episode is named woe something.
Yeah.
And then I went off on a rant of, woe puns just to annoy the piss out of you. And
well, you're good at that. Annoying the piss out of me part. Yes, you're good at that. The puns part, not so much, because they come off as dad jokes, and it's just kind
of... But yeah, so B, she goes, ends up getting roped into going on a date, because Thing got her a sweet vintage black dress. So she's like, all right, I'm going to try to be normal girl and go to this prom thing. And so Beekeeper Boy decides to go on the stakeout
by himself, which is not a good idea because he's only 4'3" and maybe 96 pounds.
But then someone shows up and firebombs the cave to destroy all the evidence. But it's obviously looks like a lady, and then he gets put in a coma because the monster shows up and kicks his ass. But then later on,
but he lives. That's the point.
Wednesday, after she's convinced, she finally kisses homeboy once she thinks mystery solved. I can kind of focus on other pursuits now. I'm not so she goes to apologize to him and ends up making out with him and getting a vision and sees, oh no, the boyfriend is the monster.
Yeah.
And then decides to kidnap him with the rest of her buddies and torture him until he turns into the monster, but he doesn't turn, and basically just sets her up.
Yeah, okay.
So the sheriff shows up, but then he refuses to press charges, but it's enough for the principal to expel her, and she's about to get kicked out of school.
Yeah.
But she's like, "Can I go let me go visit my, find out that he woke up." So
let me go visit my friend because he's the
first
friend I've ever actually made, or
on the way
second
out of town,
friend.
Let me go say goodbye to him now that he's awake, and then he tells her I saw someone came and firebombed the cave, but when the explosion happened, there was more light, and I can tell she had red boots on. And the only person we've seen wear red boots is Christine Ricci.
I told you that's who it was going to be. She was going to end up being the villain because the perky little botany teacher. Oh God, I didn't like the role, but
And I know Wednesday's not big on technology, but girl got to start carrying a tape recorder because there's so many times the bad guy confesses to her, but no one's around to see it.
Of course not.
So no one believes you. But she finally convinces the principal that some shady shit's going on. So she goes back to confront
Christina Ricci's
Thorngood,
character, and then
she's I had, and then boyfriend shows up, and she's like, all right, hi, go ahead, take care of her. And she's like, oh, he's not under your control anymore. And she's like, bullshit, I sent him to the train station to
kill you,
bring you, to bring you here, because apparently she's the whole key to the plan to resurrect the pilgrim. But then she finally confesses, I faked my own death. I've come back to start what my family
I've been doing the long game here. I just made myself a teacher at this school for outcasts and been trying to...
But this time she was smart enough to bring a witness, and the boyfriend was actually the principal shape-shifted for her. Which, again, should have brought a tape recorder because, of course, she kills the principal and knocks her the fuck out. So.
After telling her the whole plan, which, like you said, tape recorder, but it's Scooby-Doo, and I would have gotten away with it, blah, 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 but,
if it wasn't for you meddling outcasts.
Yeah.
And even like fucking knife Thing. I was like, oh, that was like when she finds like friggin' Thing pinned to the wall after boyfriend lured her out on a date, and and I did like Uncle Fester. That was the episode where Uncle Fester was still there, and him like using his like electronic powers like a fucking defibrillator, and like zapping him.
Now I remember him lighting up the light bulb, but I don't remember him ever being able to shoot lightning from his hands. I mean, we suddenly became part Raiden or
Lord
something.
Raiden.
That's exactly it. That's where I went with it.
Auto combat.
Oh God, don't go there. Nope. Nope. Let it go. Let it go.
I'm not singing that song either.
What?
Let it go.
Oh no, not that one either. But I mean, we did get a nice version of what, Paint It Black? Is that what it was?
Oh.
On the cello that she was playing?
No, it was Metallica. Nothing Else Matters.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because I was sitting there like, because she was, her other hobby other than solving murders, playing the cello, and she's like, playing, and I'm like, and it's kind of like a little slowed down, and I'm like, oh fuck, this is like Metallica.
Yeah.
Oh, we may have also gotten like a version of Paint It Black one, but yeah, but the thing she was playing on the cello was Metallica.
Oh, okay. There was something else in there, but I don't remember. I just saw something on Facebook. I don't know.
So yeah, we find out she is, and dude, when she goes to when she figures the whole thing out, she goes and tries to tell the friend that she accidentally got convinced everybody that he's the killer, and he's just like, get the fuck out of here. He's like literally, like, if you're the key to this prophecy,
just leave
like,
town, go away.
If you're not here, they're not gonna be able to do whatever evil thing they're gonna do, so you should like save us all and get the fuck out of here. Which, if she'd listened to him, it would have been over 2 episodes earlier.
Well, yeah.
Because it turns out she is the key, because the witch Goody not only killed Homeboy, she put a curse on his soul where his tomb is sealed by her blood. Mm-hmm. Like, the only way to open his tomb is
a blood of a descendant.
A living descendant.
Yeah. Well, where are you going to get blood besides a living descendant? Eventually,
people have blood too.
Not for very long. Usually it's embalming fluid at that
point. So
point.
They couldn't kill her the whole time. There's been all these close calls where killing everybody else, but somehow she keeps getting...
I don't know. Hitting her in the head with a shovel, that looked pretty... that looked like it might have done the job for a minute, but...
So yeah, they use her to unlock the tomb, and...
We use the rest of the body parts in canopic jars all around the tomb because we're using, Frankenstein and a little bit of Egyptian mythology, and we're going to bring it all together and make, raise a pilgrim, because that's how you do.
Brings back the pilgrim. And also stabs her in the
chest,
so she's dying. And then, of course, as she lays there dying, the Goody Adams shows up, and she's like, you got to get up. You're the only one that can save us. And she's like, has your spectral vision gone bad? Because I'm here dying. And she's like, but I have ghost powers, and I will heal you. But you'll never see me again. But
I'll heal you, but you're never going to, I'm not going to be helping you along your quest with your visions and whatever.
Yeah, this is going to take all my spectral powers to, fix you up.
She slimed me, Ray. She went through her is what she did.
And the whole running story of Eden, her werewolf roommate, is she's like
Enid, not Eden. Enid.
Enid. She's never
wolfed out, never
wolfed out,
changed all the way completely into.
Yeah, and she's afraid she's gonna be like she's gonna get kicked out and have to learn how to be a normie or whatnot. So Thing kind of comes to tells everybody like, hey, we got Wednesday's in
trouble. We got to go save her.
So they go put together the Scooby Gang of the Nightshades club, which, speaking of character development, the Siren, kind of her
Bianca, her school rival, because
she actually turned into like a good person along the way. You thought she was going to be the typical like bitch, but she was kind of a big part of like the fight to save everyone at the end, and they kind of ended as
sort
if
of
not
friends,
buddies, at least like some mutual respect there.
Yeah. Of course, there's gonna be something else with that in the next season because her and her mom had some kind of weird cult, or her mom was part of a cult, and she wanted her to come back to the cult. So they're just gonna go somewhere from that. But
So yeah, the Scooby Gang goes to evacuate the school or check on the principal, and Werewolf Girl's like, well, I'm gonna go.
I gotta go find Wednesday.
Y'all take care of this. Call the law. Whatever.
She's been mean to me the whole time, but she's my bestie, and I love her, and I gotta save her.
I gotta make sure she's okay. And of course, big bad Hyde shows up to finish everything off, and she finally gets the eye of the tiger and goes full wolf, but still with like purple hair.
Yeah, it had the pink streak and the blue streak, almost like kind of looks like a Harley Quinn, except it's pastel. So it's teenage Harley Quinn with pink and the blue on the sides.
She finally finds her wolf powers and like fucks homeboy up.
Yep.
And Thing, of course, rescues because they're transporting Xavier to wherever, and Thing rescues him, and since Sheriff finally, once she fucks him up, he turns back into a human. So he's finally
Sheriff finally figures out, my son might be the whack job, and there might be a problem.
Yeah, and of course, Wednesday heads back to the school because Dude and Christina Ricci's gone to kill all the kids.
To kill all the kids and destroy the school for good.
And then she shows up and goes fucking sword fighting assassin on his ass.
Yep.
finally, stabs him in his black heart with a little help from Bianca and Xavier. And then, freaking B-Boy shows back up. Because the only thing we're like, all right, it's a school of people it's fucking like X-Men. Like,
yeah.
Everyone has powers. Like, what the fuck is the B-Boy's power? He's like not done anything. And then you're like, oh, the reason why he runs the bee club is he's like has control of insects.
Control over the bees, and
he rolls in there and just like fucking swarms
Christina Ricci and covers her in bees, so she's laying on the ground crying, And
then Wednesday's like, I'll take care of this. Look away. And just fucking just curb stomps her in the face.
Yeah.
You got knocked the fuck out.
No, if she was gonna do it, it's total homicide because can't have another attempted on my record. I can't have a fail. That's a fail.
But I'm assuming she's just got locked up or something.
Yeah,
but it ends with not showing. I mean, we see Tyler, I think was the kid's
boyfriend.
name.
Yeah,
he survived, and he's like under maximum security transport,
being hauled out like one of the X-Men in the
prison in a pretty nice Hellcat.
What's his name?
Or no, those things aren't called Hellcats. I don't know. This fucking armored like police SWAT van, but you never see like Christina Ricci's character in jail or whatnot. So I don't know if she got up and fucked off, before the cops arrived. But it never really.
No,
showed what's
left
to
of her is on the bottom of Wednesday's boot because she had them sick ass platform commando boots that were awesome that
Plus,
I needed.
You get stung by hundreds of bees. Usually. It's
Well, they didn't show him stinging her because B-Boy might not want to kill his bees, but they just kind of swarmed her. They just
contained her.
Yeah, she was swarmed laying on the ground crying like a little bitch because nobody wants to get stung by 1,000 bees at one time.
Because she was about to shoot Wednesday at the time with a sweet old Luger.
Yep, kind of like mine.
But functional.
Ha ha ha! Mine is functional. It's the clip that doesn't work. Anyway,
but yeah. So it doesn't really show what happens to her, and then since the principal's been murdered and
now we have no principal, we gotta come up with somebody.
Student body. They're like, we're just gonna go ahead and call this semester and send you all home for and we'll start over next semester.
Wait next semester, and we're gonna send you guys home a little bit early, and we'll figure this out from there.
But we do get Xavier finally. She's like apologizes to him, and he's like, "Here, have a cell phone. Like, welcome to the
20th century.
And
text me. My number's in there."
And she's like, "That's awfully presumptuous." He's like, whatever. You gotta shoot your shot."
That's the thing, though. You got, 3 guys, little beekeeper boy included, and Enid. She's a total bitch. She's a total psychotic bitch and doesn't give anybody a time of day. But they're all like, oh, yes, this is what I want. It's the goth girl thing. It's definitely the goth girl thing.
Old Enid was, hooking up with the freaking Gorgon stoner.
Yep. Stoned himself. That's the best. I stoned myself by accident. That's why I missed our date. By that I mean I looked into a mirror and turned myself to stone.
They finally tell each other they like each other, and then he stands her up for the first date because he's the fucking steps out of the shower and sees the mirror and stones himself.
It's Medusa's younger, dorkier, awkward little brother.
But the stone guy is also kind of a stoner.
Yeah, well. Anyway, not your usual kind of, not something you'd normally get into there, dear. So what do you think?
I liked it because I like I've always liked the Addams stuff, and I like horror stuff. I was worried it was going to be too much of a CW, Vampire Diaries or something like that. One of these like supernatural dramas like fucking Riverdale or some shit. But no, it felt very adult.
Yeah.
Did a really good job of being a murder mystery show. There is some teen angst drama, but not overhandedly heavy.
Not in your face. It's
because I saw some complaints online. People they're like, oh man, this is just like a fucking CW show. I'm like, nah, dude, it's a lot deeper than that, I thought, and the acting from everyone involved was
well, the acting was spot
awesome.
on. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, scary when it needed to be scary. I mean, there's a lot of like blood and violence here and there, and kept you guessing. Which it wasn't one of those where like by episode 2, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be this motherfucker.
Yeah.
You were like saying, oh, it's Christina Ricci's got to be the bad guy, just with no like real evidence at the time, and I was like, no, that's gonna be too easy. Her being the bad guy is gonna be like. That's the obvious choice, and they didn't make it obvious until like the very end. You're like, oh shit, it is her.
No,
they did a good job of making everyone else look fucking suspicious.
Yeah, there was enough people to cast suspicion on that it didn't.
They made the easy choice like not appear to be easy.
Even the sheriff. I mean, I think I've seen him in a couple of things. I'm not sure who he was exactly, but even his parts came off as being acted and played really well, very serious, and you expect it to go kind of campy, and it didn't go campy, and that's
for like I said, it's freaking goth Harry Potter. It could have very been gone to the cheesiness when you're dealing with high school kids that have powers, but it never got cheesy. I mean, it was like a real like mystery through the whole fucking thing.
And the dance scene. The dance she did when she finally decided she was going to loosen up a little bit, still deadpan face, and then she starts dancing and ends up like queen of the dance because everybody's staring at her because she's pulling off this like choreographed routine that's just messed up, but it worked.
Without still zero facial expression. Yeah. I mean, it's bravo.
I mean, it looks like her eyelids were sewed open the whole movie. The whole show, because her eyelids are open the whole time, just staring into the black abyss.
It's kind of weird seeing pictures of her now, like smiling and happy, or even like behind the scenes shit where she's still in costume, but she like has facial expression. It's like that looks weird now. It doesn't look like the same person. No. So as we kind of wrap this up, final thoughts on the show. Is there a character we haven't mentioned? Do you think we should?
Not. I mean, we really didn't say anything about Pugsley, but he was kind of.
I mean, he was there a couple times.
Kind of pathetic.
Which.
I mean, he was.
Kind of his job.
Well, yeah, okay, because he was kind of. There seemed to be a lot bigger age gap between him and Wednesday than there was in the original movies, because you would think they were around the same age, but he seems to still be a child and she's a teenager.
Well, they were both in high school, so he's probably a freshman.
Maybe, but he looked just kind of small and kind of. I don't know, kind of pathetic. He was kind of pathetic.
Well, what do you think of this here cigar so far? Kind of at the midpoint.
It's gotten a lot stronger as I've gotten into it, because that's why I had to set it down for a minute. It's gotten a lot stronger. It kind of started out pretty good, and it's gotten a lot stronger. It's a little bit above what my strength level preference would be.
But for me, I like it. It's like I said, it's a nice Maduro, so it's. I wouldn't call full strength, but it's definitely like a medium plus. But it has a lot of flavor. It's kind of little sweetness, a little creaminess, but also just a touch of that peppery spice, which I do like a peppery cigar, but it's not strong as far as like the pepper. But it's just
the pepper's not real. I mean, you can taste it like at the back of your yeah. But it got a little stronger than I was anticipating, because it definitely didn't start out that strong. I might have my stomach kind of did a twist there for a minute. I'm like, that's a little more than I anticipated. I bit off a little before I can chew, but that kind of seems to be my norm. So,
Yeah. With me, like, just getting kind of back on the wagon, it hasn't made me sick yet. So it's like I went straight to like the things I was smoking before and didn't try to like warm up to. I was like, nah, let's get back on that fucking horse.
If you're gonna do it all the way up. Why not?
But that's all we got for you this week. We'll be right back with some science.
And you've been watching the Cigar Nerds podcast. Check us out on cigarnerdpodcast.com. We're on the ESO Network at esonetwork.com. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Cigar Nerd Pod. Remember, smoke 'em as you got 'em. Like, comment, and subscribe.